All right, so this is our newest show, kind of like an offshoot imprint of a little bit of our sports label, a little bit of our Varsity Club 602. So this is my buddy Jason.
What's up, guys?
So
How
Jason,
you
you are a New Jersey sports fan.
I am a New Jersey sports fan, absolutely. We got the New York Mets and the New York Jets. Not something I'm usually proud to say. Sometimes I'll hide behind it. But yeah, that's who I am. You probably don't have too many of those out in Illinois, right?
No, sir, almost none.
Oh,
But
wow. Okay.
like break it down for me. So like if you're a typical Jersey sports fan, like who are your four?
Absolutely. So usually what it's looking like, what we have in New Jersey, and this could be a big argument for New Jerseyans, right? But it's usually split up. The state is South Jersey are going to be Philadelphia fans. So you're actually going to lean towards the Eagles, the Phillies, the Flyers, and the Sixers.
Okay.
Central Jersey, where I'm from, and then up north as well, that's going to be more of the New York sport fan. So typically it's Jets, Mets, Islanders, and Knicks. The pretty worst combination. I mean, I don't think there's a worse combination in sports
That's
than that.
pretty rough.
And then after that, you're going to have Yankees, Giants, Rangers, and Knicks. Nets are kind of, I don't even know what you'd call the Nets, Brooklyn, New Jersey. That's kind of random on who's a Net fan. But
Okay.
yeah, that's usually the combination. So usually the Giant, Yankee, and Ranger fans are a lot happier. But I like to call those fans the bandwagon fans sometimes.
I mean, that's probably fair.
Yeah,
Do-
I mean, they like all
does
the winning.
anybody follow like the Devils? Anybody like the Devils at all?
Yeah, you'll have Devil fans in New Jersey. That's kind of a mix, but there's a lot more Ranger fans than Devil fans. They're kind of forgotten about.
All right, so you kind of touched on it, but you want to go ahead and give the people the title of this show.
Yeah, I mean, Jets, Mets, and unfortunately, a lot of regrets in my life. A lot of regrets. I think the regret number one being that my dad is a Giants and a New York Yankee fan, and I'm a Mets and a Jets fan. So
How?
that's probably regret number one for me and for him.
How did
But
that happen?
back in the day, how I decided to be a Met and a Jet fan, I think I truly said, Rick, and I can't exactly remember, but I think I said, my dad's a Yankee and Giant fan. Let me be a Met and a Jet fan. Like,
Okay.
makes sense, right? How doesn't that make sense?
Hey, you know what? Sports fandom doesn't have to make sense. I threw on a Badgers shirt. I have a Cubs minor league hat on because if you've talked to me in person, you know how mad I am at MLB. But I keep getting pulled back in.
They always pull you in, especially the Mets this year. And if we were talking last year, there'd be a lot of regrets on the show. But right now, I'm very proud to be repping this 10-4, first team in baseball right now with 10 wins. And me and my friend have a mantra. We always say about the Mets right now, we got Buck. Buck Showalter, the old stallion with that white hair, 65 years old, hopefully going to lead us to that promised land.
Getting the job done, like you said, first place in
Man.
baseball right now.
Yeah, I love it.
So from there, I thought maybe today we could do your top three Mets, your top three Jets, and then maybe like a regret of the week.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I could get the regret out of the way.
Okay, all right. We can start with the regret.
What I could be regretting after I look back on this video in a couple of weeks or a couple of months that I'm wearing New York Mets attire and then I got my Jets attire underneath here. And same thing, I doubt, being from Illinois and McHenry, I doubt you've ever seen somebody wear Jets and Mets clothing in the same day, probably, right? On the same body.
Yeah,
that's something that you're
I
seeing
don't
every
think
day.
so.
Maybe you're seeing Bulls and Cubs, maybe you're seeing Bulls and White Sox, but you're probably not seeing too much of this, right? That's a rare breed right there.
I think I've been to a Cubs Mets game and haven't seen anyone wearing Mets stuff.
Interesting. But I don't have too many regrets, to be honest. I like to always tell people that I think it builds character, right? Being a Met and a Jet fan, to endure losing and to pay ownership who sometimes don't care about winning. In the past, a whole nother conversation, but to pay them, I even had season tickets for the couple years for the Mets when they were losing. So you could call that a regret, but for me, like I'm passionate about my teams. But other people would call that regrets.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna hit you with a sports regret, but then I did something this week that I truly regret in my soul, and I started drinking Red Bulls for breakfast again.
Okay. What
And
flavor?
just standard Red Bull, cup of ice. I drink it on my way to work, and yeah, that's not sustainable, really. So that's my regret for the week, is I started that path again.
Rick, I mean, you got to be a cold brew guy. I'm a cold brew guy. Come over to the dark side, man. I mean, it's so much better than Red Bull. I don't know why you're doing that to yourself.
I mean, this might strike you as surprising, but McHenry's not quite like Scottsdale, so I can't just like get cold brew it. I'd have to make it myself, and
yeah.
I'm lazy.
Well, you tell me your address, and I'll Amazon ship. You get it.
Just mail it out.
You got Thursday, you'll get it by Saturday. You'll be good for the weekend, and then Monday when you go to work, you'll have some cold brew. So
just cruise right into the cold brew.
Don't you worry. We'll figure it out. We will.
I might have to do something along those lines. So where do you want to start? You want to start Mets or you want to start Jets?
Let's get into Jets right now, and then we'll go into Mets.
All right, I figure we'll go back and forth. If we hit a double, we can kind of discuss it. But looking at my list, I don't think we're going to have a double.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, go ahead. Who's your top three Jets? Who's number one on this top three Jets list?
So number one, going to be my boy. He had an island named after him. How many people have islands named after him? Darrelle Revis. And man, as a Jet and a Met fan, Rick, let me tell you, sometimes when you have 2-14 seasons, 3-13 seasons, Sam Darnold is the next best quarterback since Namath, Geno Smith, Mark Sanchez, Zach Wilson. Sometimes all you have to look forward to is we got the best cornerback in the league, and his name is Revis Island. And he is my boy. And Rick, I want you to pull up a graphic later if you can. I want you to look at Revis's 2009 stats. And this guy finished second in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. If you look at who he covered that year, I mean, this guy could have won MVP in my opinion. I know that would never happen in the NFL, but this guy was locked down. And people talk about Jalen Ramsey and Richard Sherman. I mean, no, they don't know what they're talking about, Rick. They do not know. This guy was truly a lockdown corner. And in my opinion, he'll be in the Hall of Fame in no time.
Man, I just pulled up just some quick stats, and damn, that 2009 season was something else.
I mean, how don't you win Defensive Player of the Year? Woodson ended up winning it, but I mean, that's elite right there.
Dude, Andre Johnson, Randy Moss,
yeah,
Colston, Owens. I mean, you got Mike Sims Walker in here, but you have to play the Jaguars. That's not his fault.
Yeah, he's playing last day schedule that year probably. So.
Wow, yeah, I'll definitely put this graphic up. This is aggressive at best, and his numbers are fantastic.
Yeah, and like any Jet dream story, right? Any player you fall in love with and like, of course, went to the Patriots in 2014, right? Why not joining up with Belichick and Brady? So you gotta love that. But yeah, I mean, to truly have when your team sucks, the only great thing was, hey, we have this guy who, I mean, he's gonna guard your best player one-on-one, and he's gonna win almost every single time. And I mean, watching on Sundays, like that was so much fun to watch.
The dude held Randy Moss to like 9 for 80 and a touchdown in 2 games. That is
unheard of.
That is impressive.
Unheard of. So he's definitely number one.
Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit of a different direction. Okay. Antonio Cromartie.
Can you name all his kids?
Can he?
I think I can name potentially more. And the funny thing about Cromartie, now a friend told me this. I don't know how true it is. It's actually Dima. He mentioned this. Supposedly Cromartie, so he didn't have to pay child support for all his baby mamas. And I think he has 3, 4, 5. I mean, we can look it up online. I think he built this mansion, and he had all of his baby mamas and kids living in this mansion and fully funding it, supporting it. That way he didn't have to pay child support to all these women that he had his kids with. So, I mean, this guy, great corner, smart man, I guess. So,
I mean, Jets fans, tell us if we're wrong, but Jason, that story you just told, I think is wrong because it wasn't a mansion. It was a converted motel.
Oh, a converted motel.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I read some dude build a motel.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's just smart. Like if you want your kids to grow up together, we're better than a converted motel where they can all stay.
I mean, Rick, the motto I've always been told and what I try to teach my team when I'm at work is Work smarter, not harder. So hey, I mean, Cromartie is living out that dream right there.
That's
Right?
right. That's right. I mean, the dude played well. Run support not great, but you don't really sign a cornerback to be great run support. You should really have that in your front seven. But for me, the reason Cromartie's my number one Jet was the entertainment factor. He'd go back and return kicks and missed field goals, and he'd talk a whole lot of trash. He'd get up in wide receivers' faces, and sure, sometimes he'd do that and get burned. But anytime you can have a guy out there and it's like a defensive player who has that name value, like that's my guy. I played corner in a different life ages ago, and like Cromartie was a cool dude. Like that's kind of what I wanted to be. So I just really enjoyed the way he played the game. Obviously had some huge holes in his game and had some off field issues, but he was a cool guy.
Yeah. No, and I think they got him. I remember 2009, their 1-2 was Revis and Lito Shepard. And Lito Shepard did not have a good playoff. So I remember out in 2010, them going after Cromartie. I don't think they gave up much for him. It might have been like a second or third rounder. We'd have to check on that.
Third
I mean,
rounder, good memory.
yeah, that was huge. I mean, those were the Jets' years, 2009 to 2010, when they made back-to-back AFC Championship games. But yeah, he really played well next to Revis, and
Yeah,
that's
I
what.
just I remember them beating up on Flacco. Like Flacco had all kinds of trouble with the Jets,
Yeah,
and like really, that's all you can hope for. I mean, Flacco, the greatest of all time, mind you. He is elite.
hey, and he's in the Jets right now too. He's backing up Wilson, so
Jesus, that's right.
MVP quarterback on our team right now. Gotta love it.
So, who do you got number two? Who's your number two Jet?
Number two, Jet, and I'm gonna go back to how I probably became a Jet fan. Besides the fact that I wanted to go against my dad, but it's gonna be my boy, Curtis Martin. And to throw some stats out real quick, 98 came over from the Patriots. Gotta love it. Gotta love when guys come over from the Patriots. I mean, that's the best type of Jet right there. And Rick, his first 10 years in the league, he played 11 years. His first 10 years, he was an 1,000-yard rusher. I'd love to see the last player who accomplished something like that. Like if Adrian Peterson was able to do it, or Emmett Smith. But I mean, that is some elite numbers. His last year in the league was the only year that he didn't hit 1,000 yards. He was a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2011 and currently 6th all time on the NFL's rushing list. And he did it with a lot of, and I like guys who have swagger and are in your face and all that, but I also respect guys who just go about their work. And Curtis Martin is one of those humble guys who put his head down and he just rushed the ball and rushed it down your throat. I mean, he was a great player.
He was a lot of fun to watch. He's another one of those ones where it's like damn. He had that cutback move. They ran like that off tackle smash.
Yeah.
And the dude is just monstrous. Oh, Jesus. All right. So I think there might only be one other running back with 10 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
Okay. Who is it?
Barry Sanders.
I mean, to be in the category as Barry Sanders, yeah, that is a new category. And obviously, Martin is the Hall of Fame, so it's not even to discredit him, but he doesn't get talked about too much outside of New York, in my opinion.
I think that's fair. And I think it's because he spent all his time on the East Coast. I think if he had, you play for the Cowboys and you get all that screen time. But, you play for the Patriots and the Jets, it's like, all right, well, they're definitely going to see you on the East Coast.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good one. I like that one. My second is Wayne Corbett.
Oh, okay.
Wayne Corbett. Wayne played like when I was like into football. When I was getting into football, I was like 7 years old when he got drafted, and he was just a little white guy who played his heart out, and he was good. He was really good. He's not Randy Moss, but I think he came out of like Hofstra, like some little school, and he had no business being a number one wide receiver, but he was, and he played hard, and he did his thing. So
yeah, I mean, there's something about those small little receivers that like maybe in 5'7", like I love that, right? Edelman, Welker, Corbett, and Corbett was kind of the first one, honestly. There weren't too many small guys in the league before Corbett kind of took off, and he paved the way in a lot of ways to show that, hey, you could be a smaller guy, but if you're fast and you have grit and you're able to run over the middle, like you can be a great receiver in this league.
And I think he played his whole career for the Jets, which is something you
I
don't
believe so.
see horribly often. But I just remember we were playing and watching these games, and I think they called him the Green Lantern.
That might have been his nickname. I'd have to look into
Oh
that.
man, but he was
That's
a
when I started getting into the Jets was a little bit early 2000s. So that's when Corbett was, in the middle of his years and all that.
he was a lot of fun, and like to take an undrafted tiny receiver like that and get wide receiver one numbers out of him over a long period of time, like that's good stuff. I can really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Who you got at slot number 3?
Slot number 3, my boy. He has the swagger. Rex Ryan, baby. Rex Ryan. I mean, this guy came over in 2009, right? And the year after Mangini, right? And you had all those Patriot assistants, and they tried to act like Belichick and be very serious and, be a disciplinarian coach and not a player's coach. But Rex Ryan came in and he brought the swagger and he brought the confidence. And his first 2 years, they made back-to-back AFC championship games. I mean, the last time the Jets had that type of success, I mean, they've never made back-to-back AFC championship games in their history. They got that close, and that's the thing that Jet fans get excited about, right? Like, we almost made the Super Bowl. Of course, that's how we feel. And just everything that came with Rex. I mean, he had a tattoo of his wife wearing a Mark Sanchez jersey, and there was the foot fetish things came out that he had a foot fetish, and he could be seen in Miami giving the middle finger to Miami Dolphin fans. I mean, this guy was so entertaining. So kind of opposite of Curtis Martin, like going about his business. Rex Ryan, I mean, he lets you know all of his business, and I love that about him. And he might have been one of those guys looking from the outside. Maybe you didn't love him, but I love the entertainment value and the success he had.
And there's something to be said for being able to kind of manage the New York media and still be successful, and really get yourself in a position where like the fans love you. So all you have to do is go out and perform even to a I guess the word I'll use is substandard. Like, but then the dude won games, and
Yeah.
he took this hodgepodge of Jets players and kind of turned them into a winning team. So that's a great one. I'm kind of partial to his brother because I'm a Saints fan, but
His brother wasn't that good.
well, and on that note, my third is a guy who I love because he was a Saint, but really cut his teeth as a Jet. And I mean, the Jonathan Vilma.
Heck yeah, I love it.
No, defensive rookie of the year when he came out. Man, he had that one year with like 180 tackles. He was everywhere. He was every single play.
Oh, he was a machine. Typical Jets and Mets, it's like you have a player who you love, and then you let him walk. You don't re-sign him.
Well, like, he busted his knee, and then had like the last year on his deal, I think, and they shifted him over to the Saints. So like I know most of his stuff from his time with the Saints. But like Vilma was a monster, especially in the mid 2000s there with the Jets. He was just putting up stats.
Yeah, I mean, that old school middle linebacker, I mean, he was all over the field. All over the field.
Yeah, I had to look it up, so I won't pretend like I know it. But he had 173 tackles in 2005.
That's insane.
Like that's every play. That is just commanding the field.
Yeah, I mean, how much is he going for in the fantasy football league? That's a $10, $15 player right there, right?
No kidding. That is money points.
Absolutely.
And he played a little bit of coverage, not a whole lot, but he got back there every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, the linebacker position has changed so much over the years, but
it has.
I mean, back then it was just making tackles and stopping the run was one of the biggest things they were asking out of you. Tight ends weren't as dynamic as they are now.
Not as big too. Now you got these defensive linemen who can catch passes.
Insane.
All right, so we'll shift over to the Mets. And I'll tell you, this one was a little bit harder for me to put together because baseball is not my primary sport, and I'm certainly not a Mets fan.
So the reason why I love the Mets and the number one player, my boy, number 31, Mike Piazza, coming over in 98 to the Mets. most home runs in the history for a catcher in MLB history. 2016 Hall of Famer. I believe he went in with Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, yeah, I think he's the reason, going back to the 2000 World Series, like, I don't know if you remember that one, but Subway Series, Mets versus Yankees, and he had a hit where he dribbled the ball back to Clemens and his bat broke and flew towards Roger Clemens, and Roger Clemens took the bat, threw it back towards Piazza. And unfortunately, there wasn't a brawl because who doesn't love a good sports brawl, Could have been as good as like the Malice in the Palace or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But he was just a guy who put up numbers. He was able to perform in New York. And similar to like Rex Ryan, like he had that swagger and he had that demeanor of like he was a tough, gritty player who wasn't going to take crap from anybody. And that's kind of the, something you need sometimes in New York City. So I loved him and respected him for that.
So for me, my number one, I started getting into fantasy baseball like the early 2000s. And I just remember I'm trying to learn all these players because like I watched baseball, but we weren't like diehard baseball fans.
Yeah.
Jose Reyes.
Oh, yeah.
Jose Reyes was a monster. He had like 60 stolen bases a season for like a stretch there when he was like in the MVP voting. And the dude hit everything. He hit like 300, stole 60 bases. So like every time he's on the screen, he's doing something fun. And those Mets teams were pretty damn good. And so those are the ones that like they're getting national TV coverage. And it's like, you don't have all the game. You can't watch every single game, but like the Mets would be on TBS playing the Braves, and like you could catch those games in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And so like Reyes was the guy because like he was fun and like it looked like he was having a good time while he was doing it, and then he raked, man. He was hitting. Didn't really club home runs, but like he'd leg out a single, then steal second, then steal third, and then get stranded on third. But yeah, for me, number one's gotta be Reyes, and I think I actually had the most fun watching him when he came back to the Mets, like 16, 17. And he didn't play as well, obviously. He was at the end of his career, but like it was like nostalgia for me because it's like, damn, like I remember when Reyes was with this team and like rocking it. And so for me, that was a lot of fun to watch him come back.
Yeah, I love that. And shout out to my friend John, who I used to have season tickets with. But Reyes used to do this thing where, whenever a player steals a base or they turn a single into a double, they kind of turn back to the dugout and do some type of animation. So Reyes had two, which I always do with my friends. He had one where he would do this. So he would just do that back in the dugout. And then he would have another one where he would just do this with his hand. So I love the animation and the energy he brought. That's a great one, Rick. That's really a great one right there.
All right, who you got at slot number 2?
Number 2, the last captain in New York Mets history, David Wright. A little bit opposite of Mike Piazza, a guy who went about his business. And unfortunately, his career got cut short with injuries. He had really bad back problems. I think he had spinal stenosis, actually. But when he played, I was looking up some numbers. I'm a big stats guy, and I'm sure you're getting that with me now. But I like the numbers to do the talking at the end of the day. I think the numbers do. They say a lot about a player and what they've been able to do. But in 10 years that he was healthy, I'm not counting the years where he was injured, he was a 7-time All-Star. Like I said, the captain of the team. And yeah, it's unfortunate his career got cut short. But growing up, and one of the most awesome things about, right, the Mets had cheap owners in the Wilpons. Now it's amazing. They got Steve Cohen, richest owner in baseball, spending money like it's nobody's business, making it rain over here. You got to love it. But back when actually Reyes and Wright were free agents around the same time, and the Mets let Reyes walk. But a year or two later, Wright took a hometown discount to stay in New York. So I really, really respected that out of him. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to stay with a winning team. And again, those are the type of things you look forward to as a Met fan when your team isn't good. The guy who's really, really good is staying and taking a discount. But I respect that. I like players who aren't walking away from failures and losing, and they really want to be a part of building something great. So number 2 would definitely have to be David Wright.
That's a good one. That's another one of those players that people outside of the New York area like knew because the dude had phenomenal years. And like you said, he kind of just went about his business. He was really nice with the media, so he got real preferential treatment. And like it was great. It was great to see a player like that because he just got. It kind of reminds me of Votto before he got all diva.
Yeah. Votto's been going crazy lately, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, he'll say some wild shit nowadays, but
He's been hanging out with Antonio Brown, I think. He might rub off a little bit, yeah.
my number two is Noah Syndergaard. Little Thor action.
Ooh, okay.
Now obviously he had that at the 27th season where he lost most of the year there, but I mean the dude just came out and he pitched hard. You know, ERA's like low threes, high twos, but fun to watch. Fun, he's got the whole persona going. He's got the flowing hair, and he does his bullshit on the mound. But like, dude would just come out and just throw hard. And at the time, there wasn't a whole lot of pitchers doing it consistently. Like you'd have guys who would throw like 98, but they weren't that good. So like obviously you got your top tier guys, but like Syndergaard was a blast to watch go through his progressions, and like I think he was actually better the second time through a lineup than the first. And so sometimes he gets shelled early, but then he just like keep working on it, keep working on it. And like his K per nine was always right around 10. So like you're getting the strikeout. And his strikeouts are always filthy. So like it was really fun to just watch. And I think he's with the Angels now.
Yep.
But like dude was fun to watch and he won a lot of games.
Yeah, they called him Thor actually. That was his persona and nickname. And my favorite memory of him was actually the 2015 season. They swept the Cubbies that year to go to the World Series. Two things. I think in the Dodger series, so Chase Utley slid hard into second base and he broke Ruben Tejada's leg actually.
Right.
And that Noah Syndergaard, not that year, but the following year, was the first player to attempt to throw at Chase Utley. So I love that. Somebody, getting your players back and getting your teammates back, like that is something you love to see in sports. And then in 2015 against the Royals, he had some comment where I think he was throwing inside to brush some of the Royal hitters back. And the Royal hitters didn't like that. But he was like, hey, if you don't like it, he had a press conference. Like, you can meet me, the mound 60 feet and 6 inches away. You can meet me. Meet me at the mound and tell me you don't like it. So that's the type of player he was.
Yeah, no, I like to see a guy like that who, even as a rookie, will just kind of go after guys for his teammates. And a little bit of it might be like earning your keep, but a lot of baseball is that those unwritten rules and just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to throw at this guy because they're chirping or they're crowding the plate or something from 3 years ago that I remember that maybe nobody else does. It's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to have that. All right, my number three. I'm going to start by saying that this is a guy who gave the Mets David Wright. Because when they didn't pay this man, they paid Hampton. And when Hampton went to the Rockies, they got a compensatory pick. And that compensatory pick is David Wright.
Wow, I never knew that actually.
So my number three is the one and only Bobby Bonilla.
Oh.
Because that is like an outsider. Like that's my Met, right? Like you think of the Mets, you think of Bonilla. And now we can look back and laugh, right? The Deferred contracts were all over the place when that deal happened. And obviously the Wilpons really really buried that one. But the thing about Bonilla is that they brought him back. They had signed him that big deal and he kind of just didn't pan out, but then came back. And for me, it's like really it was the precursor to like that Red Sox team that was so dysfunctional but managed to win a World Series. It's like this is just a bunch of misfits who are like drinking and playing cards in the dugout and like just having a good time. And like I just wonder like if Bonilla had been surrounded by a little more talent, if you don't look back on that in a completely different way. But the reason he's my number three Met is because every year on July 1st, we get that. We get that. Oh, it's Bobby Bonilla Day, and like how much has Bobby Bonilla made, and the graphics of like what each Met is being paid and then what Bobby's being paid. And so for me as a non-Mets fan, it's fun for me. So I'm sorry to rip open that scab for you, but for me, it's a lot of fun.
Hey, Rick, there's nothing better than all my Yankee fan friends. Shout out to you guys. Every year that happens to remind me that we're still paying Bobby Bonilla. Especially when we're having a 90-loss season or a 100-loss season. Like, yeah, just love cutting that wound open, pouring some extra salt in there. It feels, hey, what did I say in the beginning? Character building, right?
That's right.
A lot of character building as a Met fan. So, it's a lot of pride, and maybe I'll get a Bonilla jersey. That might be my next jersey. I think it's just at this point, right? Like, embrace it. It is who we are.
I mean, but the other side of the coin is that you guys are the #1 team in baseball, and you have players actually worth getting a jersey of now.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now, I don't know if we can see this right here, if the camera's angled in a good way, but we got my boy.
There you go, a little indoor action.
I bought this last year. I was a little embarrassed to wear it, but now I'm breaking it out. You better believe it.
Hell yeah, he's been hitting.
Oh yeah, that's the guy who we signed for $341 million.
Yeah, so man, I'll play for a tenth of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sign me up for like 900,000, 800,000.
So who's your number 3?
Number 3, gonna go with Jacob deGrom, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, and it's one of those players again where it's like the Mets might suck, not this year, right? But in years past. But who cares? We got the best pitcher in baseball. That's our call to fame right now. But yeah, I mean, he's just dominant. 2-time Cy Young Award winner. Last year before he got hurt, I think he started around like 14 or 15 games. Almost had a sub-1 ERA. Like, that's how dominant this guy was. And the really cool thing about deGrom and his story, he actually was a shortstop in college. He didn't start pitching for a long time. So he's a converted pitcher, not pitching his entire life. So, I mean, the guy is just dominant. You see it all the time. I'm a sports junkie, so I'm always like watching videos and the Mets and the Jets. And you have a lot of players say, and former players, like without a doubt, he is the best pitcher in baseball. But he needs to be healthy. At the end of the day, and that's the story a lot of times with like great Met and Jet players. It's like when you're available, when you're healthy. And that's one of the biggest disappointments right now with deGrom is the last 2 years, he can't seem to stay on the field. So hopefully he can get back there and continue just to mow down hitters.
Dude, he has a 2.5 ERA in like 1,300 innings.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean,
that's disgusting.
4 years under his belt, he's a Hall of Famer for sure.
Back-to-back Cy Youngs.
Yep. And last year he would have absolutely won last year if he didn't get hurt, unfortunately. So, but he's just dominant, and it's awesome. Like I said, it's as a Met and a Jet fan, when you don't have much going for you, like it's great to say we got the best guy.
Dude, he had a 1.08 ERA in 92 innings.
Woo!
That's disgusting.
Man,
that shouldn't even be possible.
Love it,
especially in an NL East that like has some hitters.
Yeah, there's some good guys. Harper, Freddie Freeman was in there last year. Like, he wasn't. Maybe the Miami Marlins were the only team at that, but not an easy division, and no scrubs in that division when it comes to hitting. So.
Yeah, no kidding. Because even the Marlins, they have those guys that make contact. They'll 1-2-3 you to death.
Yeah, they're getting there. I think they're not as good sometimes. They're too distracted with that big art sculpture they have out in that center field.
Man.
Like Derek Jeter was wanting them to build or whatever. I might have made that up, but
I wish they still had the fish tank behind home plate. That was real cool.
Yeah, I don't know why they want to watch that. I'd rather watch that than the games, right?
That's fair.
Yeah, see if I can find one that looks like Nemo or something like that. That's what I was doing when they had the fish tank.
That's a pretty damn good list, I think. That's and you see the difference between a non-Mets Jets guy and a Mets Jets guy, just the way we approached it. But
I came into it and I'm like, I need to put the Mets and Jets on the map. There's probably going to be a lot of people watching. They're not Met fans. They're not Jet fans. They've never even heard of a Met or a Jet. So I need to represent, and I'm giving you the best of the best.
Yeah, you got to teach everybody.
Yeah, they need to know, hey, the Mets and Jets mean business. Even when they suck, man, they have a lot of things going for them. So now they're on the map.
All right, so I'm going to really put you on the spot now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Who are the Jets taking at pick 4?
So, Man, there's a lot of scenarios. And I'm a junkie. Like I get home from work and I'm watching tape on all these players, all the players are getting linked to. I really like Thibodeau at 4 if he falls.
Yeah.
I think it's a league where you need to get to the quarterback, right? When we think about some of the best quarterbacks, even those like giant teams that lost to Tom Brady, they had Strahan, Justin Tuck, OCU Manure. They were able to get Brady off of his spot. So I think the Jets really need that. They have Carl Lawson, who was a really great free agent signing last year, but he tore his ACL or Achilles, I think. So I think they need to pair him with somebody else, especially knowing he might not come back to full strength. And then at 10, I really like Sauce Gardner, going back to Darrell Revis and that
Yeah.
line. And think about the division right now, right? Tyreek Hill just came to Miami, so that's going to be tough. You got Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. I think the Jets need that lockdown corner. But I also really want a receiver. I think they did some great things with CJ Uzma and Tyler Conklin, but I think they need one more guy to pair with Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims and Corey Davis and Braxton Berrios. So part of me wants receiver, but a lot of rumors out there right now. Debo supposedly wanting out of San Fran. Jets also have 2 picks, 38 and 35 in the second round. So I really would like to see them address receiver at some point with their first 4 picks.
I think Sauce can play the slot too.
Yeah, I think he could play anywhere. He's one of those cover guys who you put him on your best receiver. And obviously college doesn't always translate to the NFL, right? So these guys have great college highlights and stats, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you just got to hope that they pan out and they could take their game to the next level in the NFL. But that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
I like that Kayvon pick. Mac is slow, but then you got 2 quarterbacks who break contain, and you really need that edge rusher who can play on the outside and hold these running quarterbacks up. If Tua's healthy, he's gonna be wheeling all over the place.
Yeah, in this league, you have to get to the quarterback at the end of the day. That's what you have to do. And it shows, the Rams last year, and obviously the Rams were stacked, but you pair up Donald, then you pair up what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Von Miller, right? And a lot of teams are doing that now. They're pairing up 2 great defensive ends and 2 pass rushers. So
Yeah.
it's a copycat league, and I think the Jets need they're a long way away right now. Hopefully Zach Wilson takes a huge jump, and at the end of the day, that will really decide how the team plays. But yeah, I think they really need to bolster the defense, knowing that by having a better defense and not constantly putting Zach Wilson off of the field or the defense staying on the field for these long 10, 12-minute possessions, like that's going to only help Zach Wilson as well.
So, how did the Jets finish this year?
I'm going to be bold. I'm also a realistic fan. I'm going to go 9-8.
Okay. 9-8 might be a playoff team.
It could be.
In the AFC.
That they need to take that next jump. Zach Wilson's year 2. They've been rebuilding for a really, really long time right now. They need to take that jump. I love the offseason additions. Nothing's really, really splashy, but similar to the Mets this year, I feel like the Jets added a lot of guys who are above average players, but they have these intangibles where they're great teammates and they bring a lot of veteran leadership to the locker room on a very, very young team. I think if you look at statistics and could try to find it somewhere, the Jets probably they had the youngest average starting lineup last year and started the most rookies on their defense. So they really need that veteran leadership, I think, to show these guys how to win.
All right. So here's the really important question.
Okay.
Where do the Mets finish this year?
Okay. You want everything or just regular season?
Just give me your projection. I mean, how are you feeling about the Mets?
Mets are going to win between 90 and 100 games. They're going to win the division. We're going to make it to the World Series. We're going to win the World Series. And my boy, Francisco Lindor, with that beautiful blue curly hair, is going to win the most valuable player, and that will be the first most valuable player award given in the New York Mets history. Book it right here, Rick.
Okay.
Here first. All you Major League Baseball fans out there, after all this happens, you want my autograph, you want predictions in the future, you want me to come on Barstool, whatever it is, you let me know and I'll be there. But that's how the baseball season is going to play out. So
All right, so go ahead and parlay a Mets World Series with a Jets playoff berth.
I mean, I can do that right now. I'm
That
ready
that
to
probably
go.
pays pretty well. I'll pull that up. Maybe I'll throw it on the screen here.
Yeah, can you do that, you think?
Oh, I can absolutely do that.
Yeah. Well, let me grab my phone real quick. Let me back up my talk. So I already got some stuff going. I already have by itself, no parlays yet. I got Lindor and Alonso MVPs. And then I do have the Mets winning the World Series. But I like that parlay idea you gave. I love that. So you know what? I'll do something else for now. And then if the Jets end up getting up there. So we got a 2-leg parlay. The Mets winning the World Series and the Jets winning the division. Plus 31,000.
You know what? Crazier
1,000.
shit has happened.
Rick, we're gonna throw $15 on it to win 4,600. If they win, we're flying you out here. We're doing a show.
Hell
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Hell
you can
yeah.
bring Riley, whoever you want. Bring Morgan too. I got some peanut M&Ms or whatever, chocolate chip M&Ms, pretzel M&Ms,
We'll get it
whatever.
done.
We're rolling with it. So
We'll get it done.
that's in right now. I'll send you a screenshot if you want to post that up later.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Book
Hell
it.
yeah.
Book it.
All right, guys. Well, hey, this is the inaugural episode of Jets, Mets, and Regrets. We're gonna work through this and see what everything looks like, and then maybe you'll see our smiling faces on your screen here on a semi-regular basis. We'll check in with Jason and see how the Mets are doing and how the Jets draft goes, and you'll get a little self-deprecation, a little bit of funny, and a little bit of serious sports talk on top of it.
Sounds good. Hey, Rick, thank you for hosting, man. Always
Hey,
appreciate
Jason, thanks for joining, man,
it.
and
Absolutely.
and we'll
Next
see
time.
you next time.
See you next time.